Hello and welcome back to the Fandalorian Club, episode 11 for season 2, reviewing season 7 of the Clone Wars. There's a lot of seasons and numbers in there. We are touching on episode 11, Shattered, today, and we are closing out the final episodes of the Clone Wars, and we've had an incredible time doing this. It's something that we came up with last year for the Mandalorian. I think it worked out well so far for the Clone Wars, and that is in great debt to how great these episodes have been and how much conversation they have been able to create for us here. I'm your host, Jake Berlin. I go by Qui-Gon Jake on our opposite Star Wars show, the Padawan Podcast. And I am joined today by my fellow panel members. I have Mr. Grant Amosino, Brian Amosino there in the center, and Jacob Barley, Obi-Wan Jacoby over there on the right-hand side. How you gents doing on this Friday?
Pretty damn good. I literally just stopped watching the episode.
So you're as fresh as both. You're as fresh as the three of us right now.
Like 60 seconds ago. Like the credits were playing on the screen when you guys first when I turned the camera on.
Cool. Yeah. So we have a lot to discuss, obviously, and it's something that we can get right into because we don't want to spend an hour on this. Not just because we don't. I mean, we want to, but we have another show to get to eventually.
I mean, and the episodes are pretty short too for these Clone Wars episodes.
Yeah, this one is shorter than last week's. It's definitely shorter than the final episode, which we'll get here in a few days. So Shattered. It's picking up directly from the previous episode, which was the capture of Maul, heading into the light speed of sending him and giving him to the Jedi Council. And we knew going in that this is the episode that we were going to be getting Order 66. This is where it all is going to be felt. This is where it all is going to go down. And boy, did it go down from the Order 66 perspective. We have speculated and theorized and talked about multiple times about not even if we'll see this, but in what capacity. And I can say, safely, I think for all three of us, that it definitely lived up to what has been promised for quite a while. And we'll get into details here. Let's just kind of go beat by beat here to start it off. The episode starts off, we're on Mandalore. We see Mandalore not in ruins, but it's broken because they were just in war, right? I mean, Bo-Katan and her clan, along with the Republic, had won, but the city that they were at was essentially destroyed. Like, it had been beat up pretty badly, and we see Gar-Saxon being taken captive. We see Maul initially in the ropes, which didn't really make sense at the time, but then they put him in this incredibly badass chamber that seemed to damper his force abilities. And so there's a lot of cool things there in the beginning of the episode. Before we get to the really juicy stuff here, did you like the way that the episode started? Is there anything that really stood out to you in the very beginning before we get to the heart of it?
Go ahead, Jacob.
Well, there was quite a few things. Are we not talking about the meeting with Mace Windu, Yoda, and Ahsoka?
Well, we haven't gotten there yet.
Okay. The opening was pretty cool. At first, for a slight second, because I was like looking away from the screen for a second, I looked up. I thought he was in carbonite for a second, and then they showed like he was actually conscious in there, which obviously you couldn't have kept him in the rope. He would have gotten out easily with his force abilities, and as we see later, his force abilities are very strong. So it made sense for them to put him in there, and that was a cool conversation between Ahsoka and Satine.
Bo-Katan.
Is it Satine?
Bo-Katan.
Oh no, it's Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan. Satine's her sister, right? Yeah. Between her and Bo-Katan, how Bo-Katan was saying she wished she was good at anything other than war and those type of things. It felt like a very Mandalorian type discussion. So I was digging it.
Yeah, that conversation, real quick, Brian, I'll touch on this before I forget it. That conversation led to an interesting thing with the thing that was holding Maul about being the last, it being the last one, and Ahsoka kind of being like, "Is this something that you guys have?" And Bo-Katan making sure to be like, "No, this is the last one that's out there. Like this is it." Cool little note: the front of it is engraved with Tar Vizsla, the original holder of the Darksaber. The only Mandalorian Jedi to ever exist. So that's kind of a cool little Easter egg for fans that recognize that. But Brian, go ahead. The stuff on Mandalore, what did you think of it?
Well, yeah, you snatched what I was going to say, but it showed costs of war, obviously, with the people, the Mandalorian citizens, and it did immediately. I thought the same thing, like, oh, he's in carbonite, and then it was like, oh no, he's in like some force chamber. Yeah, it very Hannibal Lecter too. Like,
yes.
You're not talking either because you're good at persuading. You're not doing anything. So yeah, but I think that's the last we're going to see of Bo-Katan.
I don't think that. I think we will see it in the next episode. At least Mandalore. I do think we'll see Mandalore next episode. No, I feel like we could probably save this for the end of the episode, but I have a feeling Dave Filoni is going to do exactly what he did with Rebels and do a time jump, and we're going to see the Night of 1,000 Tears that was mentioned in The Mandalorian from Moff Gideon. I do think that because it's something that hasn't been touched on, and the only thing that can tell that story at this point in time is the Clone Wars. And I have a feeling with now that Mandalore is being it's so heavily involved right now in the story, whether it's in current status or jumping a couple years in advance, because we know that the Empire is the one that did it. I do think that we will see the Night of 1,000 Tears, and we find out, because for me, I want answers as far as where is Bo-Katan when this ends. Not this how this episode finished, but I want to know where she is. That way I know her connection with Rebels when she pops in, and all these, because there's a lot of things that kind of need to be wrapped up before Rebels starts. And I have a feeling that little sentence in The Mandalorian wasn't for season 2 of The Mandalorian, but it was kind of a setup for this, because Dave Filoni knew that he was going to be telling it in this story.
That'd be crazy, because that means we might see Moff Gideon.
Yeah.
That would be insane. How long? Do you know how long the next episode is?
It's supposed to be the longest one ever, so it could very well be over 30 minutes.
Okay, like 35 maybe or something like that.
And I'll make a bold prediction and say that the Night of 1,000 Tears will come from the command of Darth Vader.
That is bold. That would make perfect sense, because we talked about seeing Darth Vader in this, and that would tie Clone Wars together and with the Mandalorian. That would be crazy. Do you know something we don't know?
No. I wish. I don't. Let's go ahead and scoot on forward back to the Republic ship. So they have Maul aboard. They're taking him up to the Republic cruiser, and this is where we get the meeting with Mace Windu, Ki-Adi-Mundi, Yoda, and Aayla Secura. And this is the famous, not just the famous scene from Revenge of the Sith, but this was also in the trailer. It was heavily involved in the trailers for this season. I sent a plot to destroy the Jedi for Mace Windu. Super, super cool, because that scene had cut off in the movie after Yoda had spoken, and it went straight to Anakin going to Palpatine's office. But now we get the extended version of it. And we know that now when we go back and watch Revenge of the Sith, we realize that in that moment, Ahsoka pops in at that exact cutoff. Like, she is involved in everything going on with these characters that we know and love. I'll say this before we get to this conversation. Up to this point, and it's throughout the entire episode, this might be my favorite music from the Clone Wars ever. Period. It's very eerie and dark and kind of like horrific in a way, but it screams Blade Runner to me, and it's perfect.
Well, I think it needed to be, because no one was really talking. A lot of that first, before they all are talking in the chamber, a lot of it was not, there was no conversations. It was just kind of like showing you images. So, yeah.
What about this meeting, though? Let's get to this meeting.
The music was great. So you're talking about the music throughout the whole thing?
Yeah, just all of it in general. All of it in general.
Yeah, it was great. But no, I was thinking the same exact thing when that meeting happened. I was like, so right after that, Mace Windu says that, Ahsoka walks in and they talk to her. It's almost like you can throw these scenes in Revenge of the Sith and it would make total sense. Like, yeah. So I think that is so cool. That's my favorite part about this whole thing, and it led to us learning more about Ahsoka and seeing Yoda talk to Ahsoka and see that she's very hesitant to, like, she assumes that she's going to see Anakin again, and she even says that. So they're just setting us up because we know what happens and they don't. So every time they say something like that, we're like, oh, too bad.
Yeah, no, the thing that I took out of it the most was was it Yoda called her Jedi and she said, no, I'm a citizen.
And then Mace Windu made that asshole jab at her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But then the very last thing Yoda ever said to her, well, that we know of, was he called her Padawan. So it was kind of like, oh, like you still.
It's almost like
Yoda
it's almost like they were gonna. If she would have said, "Yeah, I'm back," they would have accepted her like right away, like no problem. But she said, "Not yet." So, and that's that's why Mace Windu was like, "All right, then you don't want to be a part of the Jedi Council." Then
it also probably helped her cause that she had just captured Maul, and nobody else ever had been able to capture Maul.
All these years, they haven't been able to catch him, and she
exactly. Yeah. Great scene. And I will just note this, and I'm not trying to prove that he was wrong, but it also screws up your timeline from last episode, Brian, about
oh yeah, I know.
You're trying to prove with the Palpatine and everything. We now know exactly where the timeline is. So Order 66 hasn't happened just yet during this scene, but it is minutes away from happening because we officially get this moment between Rex and Ahsoka in the next couple scenes where they're having this great conversation about how the clones wouldn't exist without the war, and that just this great conversation about how they're loyal. And Ahsoka says, yeah, I got a friend out of this. Like, I got a best friend out of this to Rex, and they have that great moment. But then he's like, I'm going to go take this call. And Ahsoka turns it down, which is very interesting. Imagine her in that room, being in that room when he says, or execute Order 66. And she feels it. Her and Maul both feel this gut punch. And we get this great moment of not just them feeling what's happening in the galaxy, but we actually hear the audible from episode 3 of Hayden Christensen, Samuel L. Jackson, Ian McDermott, the audible of that room scene in Palpatine's throne room when that moment was happening, when Anakin and Palpatine had killed Mace. You can hear it, and it gives you this like evil feeling in your stomach where you're just like you're sinking into your chair, knowing what's happening right there and like how everything is about to unfold. What a great way to tell the story from that perspective.
Yeah, that was great. That was a great moment when they heard Anakin saying, "What have I done?" And especially Ahsoka, because she has been defending him this whole time, saying he would never do this, and now she was proven wrong, and her and Maul can feel it, but she doesn't have time to process it. In that same exact moment, she's being shot at. So it all happened so fast, and it's crazy because I'm wondering, are Maul and Ahsoka sensing these things because they're so tied in with the Emperor and with Anakin, or is every Force user hearing this conversation?
That's a good question, because in the movie, the only person to really feel it was Yoda.
Yeah,
so the only person to really feel it was Yoda.
Because we know our Maul has a strong connection with the Emperor, like good or bad. And same with Anakin with Ahsoka. So maybe because they're so tied into those characters, they can feel it. They have a connection with them, so they're feeling it. Because I doubt every single Jedi or every single Force user heard the conversations,
I think I would tend to lean towards the fact that it was just those people. Like Yoda, obviously, because Yoda is the Almighty. And then Anakin with Ahsoka. And then who's my other one? I'm forgetting.
Maul with the Emperor. With
yeah. So, yeah. I mean, Maul is clearly... he's been waiting for it. He's been waiting for this tide to shift, and it shifted, and he felt it. And Ahsoka, being so close to Anakin, obviously felt that. So this was my favorite part of the whole episode, just because I think that was just like, it was just almost just like, there it is. That's the moment. Almost, it feels like this whole thing has been gearing up towards. Was like, I mean, for the most part, this has been Ahsoka's show, the whole thing. It's from little to now, and this was what it's been leading up to. And so that getting that and knowing like how entwined she was to it. I mean, she's the closest thing to be. That's the closest you can get to just being in the room. I mean, all she has to, she heard it word for word, and yeah, it was wild. They are not afraid to pull stuff from the movies or anything, and it was definitely their voices, because at the very end the credits said Hayden Christensen, Samuel L. Jackson. So yeah, it was wild.
It's pretty cool, because for the longest time, Star Wars fans, and you can even some of the haters as well, have had these conversations about how can you focus so many of these stories on Ahsoka but not have her in the movies and have these stories so close to these other stories. Dave Filoni just shut everybody up by including her in all these scenes, all these side scenes that aren't included in the movie. He officially planted her in everything that wasn't seen and opened all these doors to these hallways of stuff that we didn't know about inside, like the meeting that she just had with Mace Windu and stuff. We would have guessed that conversation was probably longer than what the movie showed. Now that we have that and we have Ahsoka there, we know that she's not just placed there for the hell of it. Like, she's a meaning to it all. And all these people who have been wondering, like, how can you do this to this character, or how can you do this to Star Wars with a character that isn't in the movies but make her so important and everything else? Dave Filoni's been shutting people up constantly for the last however many weeks.
Yeah, because everyone always says where, like, Anakin Skywalker had a Padawan. Like, he never mentions it. Where is she this whole time? And now we can always look to this and say her and Maul were right there for this whole story, which I love.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, arguably out of Clone Wars, the two people that have grown the most is Maul and Ahsoka. Yeah. I mean, their stories have evolved. Maul went from a guy that spoke 3 lines at most in a movie to now one of the best story told characters. And then Ahsoka is literally the epitome of this show. So to know that they both were in the same place, felt the same thing, it just kind of like blows your mind in a way, because everything that has been tied into a movie fits perfectly, literally perfectly. There's no loose end. There's no like, well, no, it's literally, this is how this went. Like, you can't really argue it, because it's pretty much aligned perfectly with every single aspect of that movie. So
yeah, so right after that moment of her feeling Order 66 and kind of understanding what's happening, she rushes to the blast door and tries to find Rex, and that's when we get the appearance of the famous chin of one Palpatine, officially executing the Order 66 to these troopers on the ship. And this might be my favorite moment in the episode, because the inner struggle that you could see with Rex, how he was shaking, dropping his helmet, understanding what's about to happen, and how he couldn't say no, essentially. And then the great moment of saying find fives, a callback to the famous trooper who understood and figured out what's happening with the clones.
Yeah.
What an incredible moment. And it finished with a great action scene, right? They're trying to knock down Ahsoka, and she just goes absolutely ape, you know what, and uses some great abilities against these troopers in the center ring. And at the same time, never wanting to kill any of them, because she doesn't understand what's happening. It's always to disable them, which may be at fault of her just because of her Jedi ways. But she stuck to who the character was, and she finds a way out through the roof. But I mean, that moment with Rex, and you could just see the emotional, how just it was ripping him apart, like what was happening. And I got to say, it might be my favorite part of the episode.
Go ahead, Jacob.
I loved that moment, because to me, and I never really thought that it was just a switch and all of a sudden they forgot everything they ever knew and they're just straight zombies trying to kill the Jedi. I never thought that, but it kind of seemed like they had no internal struggle at all. And now this shows us that they did. And what the one thing leading up to this season, one thing we always talked about was, where's Rex when this happens? How does Rex handle it? Is his chip out already? We talked about all these possibilities, and now we have the answers. So that was a great moment for Rex and Ahsoka, because if it was a random Jedi that like he had no connection with, maybe his resistance wouldn't have been as strong. But because it's Ahsoka and they have a strong relationship, he really struggled with it. But ultimately, the chip took over.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you could tell he was definitely struggling with it. Like it wasn't just like an instant like, okay, well, this is happening. Kind of like Commander Cody did with Obi-Wan. But ultimately got a hold of him, but she wasn't going to let him go. And like Jake said, she was disabling, not killing. They made that blatantly clear by her cutting some of the guns in half. And it would have been kind of weird seeing her killing
clones.
Well, not clones, but her own. Like they were her own. Those were
her squad.
Yeah, it was. They painted her face on their masks and stuff. So, it would have been. I think that would have been a little too dark for her to kill the squad. Granted, they were trying to kill her, but even then, like she's not really a killer as much as she disarms kind of people. Kind of almost. Yeah. I know you guys said she was killing Mandalorians, but she seemed like for the most part she was trying to.
Just a couple thousand feet up.
Yeah. So.
So this scene transferred into the first of 2 Rogue One Easter eggs in the episode. Rex, he sends a group of clones to go kill Maul, and lo and behold, Ahsoka essentially saves him. And for 1 second, you can think to yourself, "Oh my God, they're gonna team up! Oh my God!" But Ahsoka, of course, stays true to her character and says, "No, like you go be the bait. Like I need to get out of here. I need a distraction. So I'm not standing by you."
Ahsoka wasn't killing clones. She knew Darth Maul was gonna kill some clones. So I don't think she had a choice, but she knew he was gonna. She unleashed a beast.
I will say this. So in that quick conversation they had before they separated, there's a moment, if you watch, Maul looks down at one of Ahsoka's sabers, and there's a quick moment you think to yourself, Is he about to use a blue lightsaber? Is he about to use a blue lightsaber?
I thought she was going to hand it to him.
Yeah.
That would have been crazy.
That'd been nuts. That would have been nuts if you saw that. But you didn't. It's all good and dandy. So they went their separate ways. Exactly. And before we get to the Ahsoka stuff that ended the episode, let's talk about the first of 2 Rogue One Easter eggs. Another dark side user gets his version of a hallway scene, this time without a lightsaber, absolutely wrecking shop in the most violent way possible you can show in Clone Wars. It is by far the darkest and most violent scene we've ever had in Star Wars, or Clone Wars, excuse me. And it is brilliant. It is so good. The way that everything, like the wall panels and like how they cut away from heads being chopped off and the arm and everything, like it was so good.
This is my favorite moment of the episode. I love this. Is exactly what I was thinking. I was like, is this the second best hallway scene in Star Wars ever? Well, I feel like if this was in live action, it would challenge the Darth Vader one.
100%.
But animated, it kind of, second best is good enough. But yeah, dude, throwing the door and cutting their heads off. Oh my goodness. I was in just like Star Wars heaven watching this scene. I was so excited. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it kind of caught me off guard. I wasn't like, well, it didn't catch me off guard him like doing the whole like throwing them and stuff, but like the brutalness of it.
Oh, like,
cutting people's heads off, that arm getting cut off so he could hear on the wristband thing. Yeah, it was rough, and
that was the last time we saw him too.
Yeah, that's true.
You guys think we'll see him next episode?
Oh yeah, I think they can't just leave it at that.
they're all
They're
still on the
all
ship.
on the ship, yeah.
So I mean, I would imagine he's not going to just jump off. And didn't they say destroy the escape pods?
Yeah, so they don't have an escape pod. So they have it's going to be very interesting to see how they get off. Because at this moment, this is going to lead to, after the hallway scene, we have a great little Clone Wars type Easter egg of Ahsoka getting help from some droids, a band of droids, which is really cool. It's very interesting because this week George Lucas revealed that his favorite episode in the Clone Wars is the droid centric episodes, which is very funny and a cool little tie-in. But yeah, she gets help from all these different droids, and they essentially is what they're doing is they're helping her hack and find information. She gets that the hologram of Rex explaining what's happening with Fives, and then the Kaminoans. There you go. The famous Kaminoan explaining that Rex's chip has been damaged, and which kind of makes a little bit more sense now why he was struggling in the beginning of the episode. Ultimately, he gets put through surgery, but before that happens, we have this incredible Rogue One Easter egg of Ahsoka saying the famous "Cheer It" line from the movie. What, do you not like it?
No, that I actually kind of just forgot about that, and I actually just went like that might have actually been one of my favorites.
So I am one with the Force is with me. It's a line that's been said for the past 3 years since the movie has come out, and she is the second character to only ever say it, leading to us to believe that this is something that Jedi do in general, or maybe specific Jedi. But it wasn't just her saying it; she was channeling it through Rex, which made the moment even more emotional and great.
Yeah, he was cool. Saying it in his whatever state. He was saying it with her, and I think there might be like more power to just saying that phrase over and over than just like
and maybe it's a tease for something down the line.
I mean, I think I don't know. That scene was pretty, like when she said it, that caught me off guard. Like I was not expecting that. Like I thought she was just gonna like maybe like hold her hands over it and figure out where it was or something. But hearing that, I was like, oh, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of a big thing to say. So
it made it more than just something that Chirrut was saying in that movie. Like we could have thought that he made that up himself or something, but it seems like it's part of the Jedi religion or part of the Force religion, and that it's something that everyone says. It's like it's similar to "May the Force be with you," but that's more of a like saying bye to somebody, right? This one's more of one when you're speaking to yourself. So I thought it was pretty cool, and I love how I can't remember some off the top of my head, but I love how they're connecting these newer movies, or they're finding ways to take things from the newer movies and show that they existed before in the past. Like they kind of did that with Mandalorian and Rey with the healing thing. Like they're connecting these movies, like future stuff to past stuff, and it's really cool.
Yeah, I like how they're, and it seems so flawless too. Like it almost kind of like with it like made sense in a way. Like you're like, oh, okay. Well, I guess I think it has that saying I feel like is going to be, we're going to find out. Like I
want that as a tattoo.
That'd be a good one. If you're going to get a Star Wars one,
that or do or do not, there is no try.
I have a feeling we're going to get like, maybe like in the High Republic, like that's like a normal thing they say.
That is a great call. That because Chirrut was almost like a historian of Jedi in a way.
Well, yeah, and he was kind of like almost not a priest, but like it was. I mean, the Guardians of the Wills, like
they're basically Jedi priests.
Yeah, kind of like that. So like maybe that phrase is something that's been said for centuries and just kind of is like another version of "May the Force be with you." Just kind of like it, instead of that one just being more like a bless you type thing, it's more like a channeling your inner force. I don't know. I have a feeling we're gonna be seeing more phrase, and used more because it's been used in a lot of stuff. It's in toys now. It's in books. Now it's in the animated show. It's been in a movie. So it's kind of starting to make its way as like one of those popular phrases that things. I mean, Star Wars has a lot of catchphrases.
Was it in one of the recent books? I feel like they said it somewhere else.
Probably.
I mean, I would assume it's in the Guardians.
Like other than Rogue One. Yeah. Not sure.
I mean, yeah, I'm assuming it would be in the actual Guardians of the Wills.
Oh, I'm sure,
book.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. I think I could definitely see that being as something that maybe it was what they said before. May the Force be with you. I don't know. Like maybe it'll show up in the High Republic.
Yeah, that's definitely possible, and that's probably something that'll pop up later down the line and we can talk about. For now, the episode before right before they had pulled out Rex's chip and he kind of came to, it seemed like Ahsoka was essentially trapped. We know that she doesn't die, obviously. So we were wondering how. But Rex wakes up by a very successful and very quick surgery, I might add.
Yeah, that was pretty quick.
But he pops up and he shoots some of his fellow troopers and clearly cementing their bond together because he's killing his brothers, which is a big deal. And that's where the episode ends, on him telling her what's happening about how they were essentially bred to kill the Jedi. Like that's what they were used for, and the entire Galactic Republic is now on the hunt for any kind of Jedi user or anybody that's going to be opposing them. Because earlier in the episode, we also got the line of saying, and any clones that don't agree to this or abide by this, kill them as well. And that's how the episode ends. So just like the past two have ended, they're ended on cliffhangers, essentially leaving us in the open for what comes next. But just a fabulous episode. I mentioned the music early on. I think the music was brilliant, and there was also some Revenge of the Sith music in there as well. But I'm so excited to see what happened next because there's so many things that need to finish up and kind of tie together. And then I'm also interested to see what the final shot of the entire series is going to be.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
And I'm interested. Like I have that idea of it jumping into the future, but I'm also wondering, is Dave Filoni just going to pull one over us and just recreate a shot from Revenge of the Sith of them looking over the Death Star, which would be really cool.
Maybe. But if they go to the time jump you were talking about, I just imagine they end on that. Like, that would be crazy. I could see them doing that and then showing us what Ahsoka's doing at the same time. And maybe I think it's going to be Ahsoka and Rex saying bye to each other, like saying until next time. And they both split up to try to like stay safe.
Rex, Wolf, and the other clone that were with Rebels, right? I think we're going to see them too as well.
Oh yeah, we might see them, or maybe he goes and finds them later. But
yeah. That would
be cool. Yeah,
I have a feeling we'll probably get a classic looking off in the distance. I personally think maybe it might be like a half screen type thing where you're going to see like Ahsoka and then the Emperor and Vader on like the other one, or maybe they're just looking at the Death Star and she's just looking like straight up, just kind of like they're both looking off into their future.
So do we all agree that we will see Vader? Are we all on that train?
I thought we would I thought we always would. Yeah.
I don't think you're going to see him fully.
Okay.
I think it'll be more like either like a side view or a back view. Because I truly do think it's going to end. And I almost would be kind of annoyed if it didn't, with Ahsoka like being the last shot. Because I mean, to me, she is this story.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. That leads me to my next question. Will we see ObiWan and Anakin again one final time?
Obi-Wan?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think either of them. Because if we see Anakin, it's going to be Vader, I think. And because we know what Obi-Wan did, really, and where he went off to.
I think that the only chance we would see Obi-Wan would be his hologram message out to the Jedi to stay away.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think that might be through Ahsoka, like, because I think she's obviously probably interested in going to search out for Anakin and Obi-Wan, right? That's probably what she's gonna do next. Like, I have it because that's the only people in the world or the galaxy that she's connected to strongly, and she's probably gonna intercept that. Go ahead.
He recorded that before the fight with Anakin, so I would assume that's probably going to be like one of the next things.
And that, because right now we're at a timeline. Essentially, at this moment, Anakin's attacking Coruscant, the Jedi Temple. That's kind of like where the timeline is, and so Obi-Wan is still on Utapau. Like that's kind of where he is at the moment. And then eventually he'll find his way back. And so I do think we'll probably see the hologram message, and Ahsoka is unfortunately going to have to be like, okay, like I got to stay away. You know, I can't do my thing. Yeah, because I mean, that's where she's going. We know she's going to. And they're in hyperspace right now. They're not like just cruising. They're in hyperspace right now.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I think we're going to see Maul again too, because they're not just going to show us, oh, they're off the ship now. Like, I don't think they're just going to cut to that. I think it's going to start with them three getting off of the ship. I think they're going to let Maul go because they're going to be like,
they have to,
look, the galaxy is chaos right now. Like, just get out of here. Yeah. And then they're going to go do their own thing.
Well, yeah, because he's fair game. I mean, they made it very clear, excuse me, hiccup, that he is being attacked by the clones too. They said kill him, execute him, which I figured because at one point in the comics, the Inquisitors got attacked by them. So, yeah, I mean, almost letting him go is kind of almost just like, you're just as not safe.
There's nowhere safe to take him. Like, you can't lock him up with the Emperor and the Empire, so there's nowhere to send him.
He's not anywhere safer than they are. I think personally that holocron message will be fairly soon in the episode, like probably like no more than 5-10 minutes into that episode, because I have a feeling she'll. Do we think she's going to actually get to Coruscant? I don't think she is.
Well, that's where the ship is going. So I think they'll be there, but I don't think she'll ever step down on the planet.
Yeah, I don't even think they're going to get into like orbit of the planet. I think.
So you think they're just going to pull out of hyperspace and end up somewhere?
Probably.
Maybe right after she sees the hologram, maybe.
Because they wouldn't go to Coruscant knowing there's probably a bunch of stormtroopers there waiting for them.
Yeah. Either way, it's going to be very interesting to see how it all plays out, because there's a lot of stuff that kind of needs to be wrapped up, right? I know that they did a good job currently of wrapping up the Mandalorian stuff, but from where we see the Mandalorians next, there's still a lot that's kind of like untold, and unless they're going to tell that at a different time, they kind of need to touch on that a little bit. But the only thing that they really need to do is they need to make sure that we are okay with where these characters end up, because the next thing we know that is happening is that the Empire is officially taking over. Like, where do these characters go? Where do they end up? Where are they hiding? Where is Maul before we find him in Rebels? Where is Ahsoka before we find her in Rebels? You know, like all this stuff that's happening. And luckily they're going to extend the episode for us to tell all that story, but I'm very interested because there's a lot to do in the next episode.
Yeah, I think for Maul, he'll get picked up by a crime syndicate, personally.
Well, he does Crimson Dawn too, and so he has that in Solo.
Yeah. So I'm assuming Crimson Dawn, maybe Dryden Voss is the person that picks him up. I don't know. The one thing I'm most curious about is if Ahsoka thinks Anakin dies when he gets burned alive.
I think so. I honestly, I don't even know if she's gonna know that. I don't even know if she's gonna know that he was burned alive.
I'm just
maybe she just believes that he just died. Plain out just died.
Yeah.
Well, if she sensed the Mace Windu attack, do you think she senses the Obi-Wan and Anakin fight? I don't know.
And I was wondering myself if Filoni's gonna kind of recreate that a little bit. Dude, that'd be wild.
I could see what if Ahsoka hears the conversation with Obi-Wan and Anakin?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, I could see that. Yeah,
or maybe Padme giving birth or dying. So some type of. I mean, there's a lot,
dude. It's gonna be crazy. There's a lot to do. Yes,
I don't know how they're gonna do it all in that time, but I trust Dave Filoni because the Rebels finale was great, and he wrapped it up perfectly. So he knows what he's doing when it comes to animated shows and this and wrapping.
Well, Lucas has been involved with this too. They came out and said like he's helped with this, and it shows. Like obviously these two are like cradling it like their children. So I have no doubt it will end. We'll probably have a question or two, which I mean that's
we always do.
Typical. Yeah, exactly. So, but I don't think it's going to be like one of those like we'll never know like type questions. I think it's more like oh, where is that lead type thing, kind of like how Rebels did, because for them to not to just leave like a blatant open end question. I mean, they did that with season 6. We never thought we were going to get this. I have a feeling with those two, because this is, I mean, if you want to be specific, probably the last thing Lucas is going to really like touch, be involved in. He'll give input to stuff, but like, these two are working together on this. So, I mean, it's going to be wrapped up in a pretty bow, and we're all going to eat it up like no other. But I'm excited to see where this leads.
Cool. All right, gentlemen. Well, there it is. The Fandalorian Club for this week. Before we get out of here, just to make sure that I mention this, the Fandalorian Club will be live on Monday night to review this episode. We're going to do a special for this. This isn't going to be a full like hour review of the season or anything. We're just going to be talking about episode 12. And then the following week, we're going to do a full breakdown of the season and kind of just everything that happened and kind of talk about that on Padawan. But for now, check us out on Monday night, Monday evening, probably more than likely. There will be more information on social media. So make sure you guys find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at Apocaflix Movies. You guys can find us not just on YouTube, but also podcast platforms. So Anchor, Apple, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, Breaker, all that good stuff. Check us out there. Leave some thoughts down below. We'd love to hear from you guys because there's a lot of juicy things going on, and we'd love to hear your thoughts. So as always, for Jacob, for Brian, for myself, this is the Fandalorian Club. We thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you guys next time, and may the Force be with you.